There, how are you?
Hi there, I'm fine. What's up?
So I've seen your audit dashboard and I loved it. I decided I need to reach out to you and go through the whole dashboard with you because I think that a lot of people that we work with, cooperate with, clients, CMOs, heads of growth, like whoever, they should see that and they should go through the dashboard. They should probably reach out to you and use your dashboard. It'd be great if you could share your screen and tell why you actually decided to go for a dashboard for GA4 and Google Search Console.
Yeah, of course. Just sharing. We were lacking some kind of overlook tool to just see what's up in GA4 instance, what data is flowing in, and if that data is correct. So basically, in not every instance, you need to perform fully scoped audit, things like that. Sometimes either us as analytics specialists or some people on client side need to just quick look at some kind of monitoring tool just to make sure if something is really bad and need some action to take up. So we've prepared kind of dashboard in Looker Studio that checks about 40 things that we think are the most important at first glance to see in GA4.
Okay, cool. And the checklist that you have to go through before having that dashboard set up, because you mentioned in the message before that it is a critical step.
Yeah, the big advantage of Looker Studio is basically you just need to connect the data and you're in. We have two data sources that we are looking into. One is GA4, of course, and the other is Google Search Console, because if the client has any focus on also organic traffic, there is, of course, also some interesting things to look into Search Console, and especially comparing the data from Search Console and the GA4. Basically, yeah, two data sources, Google Search Console and GA4, and you're ready to go.
So how does it work technically, and why is it better potentially, but compared with other classic dashboards for GA4?
So it is quite specific. I think a lot, like there is a whole lot of knowledge, like expert knowledge, that I think those checks are not on your typical checklist that you will find on the web, or if you ask some AI assistant to just list you those checks. We heavily focus on e-commerce. There is like separate, as you already can see, separate section for e-commerce. Yeah, and those checks are also arbitrary because like the normal levels of stuff that is happening can change from client to client. So we are also like heavily adjusting from client to client, from this dashboard to dashboard, those checks to make sure that if some check is failing, it is like for sure failing, not because our arbitrary definition is not adjusted to the client's specific context of data.
Cool. And what are the functions of that dashboard?
Yeah, so I can show you, like we are on our starting screen. We also want this dashboard to be self-serving, kind of. So we, of course, can go with the client, like check by check, describe everything, provide quick summary of those things also. But on the other hand, we also want the client to just skip through those and maybe discover it themselves. So on the starting page, just a quick introduction, how to move through this dashboard. You can also download this as PDF because, sometimes you can share it to people who are not keen on Looker Studio, maybe that much. And as I've said, this is some kind of audit dashboard, but also a monitoring tool for the future. So for example, you can easily set up here in the upper right corner a reminder in Google Calendar or some other tool to check on these dashboards, for example, weekly. And maybe I will show the most compressed 2 pages, which are called scoreboard. They basically put every check into nice tables we are now seeing it in the edit mode. So let me just hide it as you would see this in the view mode. And as you have seen, we also loaded those data in real time. So I think it performs well. We are here having the very well-known demo merchandise store from Google. And you can see here that these checks are grouped into 3 categories. The main ones that decide the most of the GA4 instance and status, some key metrics, and some background checks, which I've said are more or less specific, but they are also important and worth checking into. So we have 2 scoreboards. One is for generic tracking, and one is dedicated to the e-commerce module in GA4. So every check just shows you in a color specific fashion if it's bad, if it's good, or if it's between good and bad in yellow. So yeah, that's all. We've tried to keep it simple, and from here also you can easily go into the detailed section of particular check.
Could we cover like the most common problems that analytics developers find in that kind of dashboard?
Yeah, definitely. Like this is in our, let's say, general checklist of audit every check here. It's like our everyday work with auditing GA instances. And yeah, this is a great starting tool because you can basically see how many reds you have and what you should focus into. Because right now, I know that I don't have to check, for example, the errors of not found pages. Like if I go into this particular instance, I know already from this dashboard that I just may skip it. So many skips, so I can focus all my time for these reds and yellows. So yeah, simpler, quicker, and yeah.
That makes sense. Otherwise, you would have to go through all of the report pages and check it manually and then tick it off in your checklist. And in here, you just pull all this data in and you see if it's green or red. That absolutely makes sense. And that also makes sense why you can do it so fast for different clients. That's one of the features, I guess, of the dashboard, that you can do it faster than the usual way.
Yeah. Faster. And, if you have it like compacted in this way, I think you also are ensuring that nothing slips out of your vision, because we know like we're just human and we may forget about something or just twist something in our memory. So here, like this is kind of nice dashboard to just have the ground truth and start from here with deeper insights and deeper digging into the GA4.
That makes sense. All right. Are there any traps or things to remember about? Like, what about the other views also in the dashboard?
And yeah, so I think one of the important thing to remember is the interpretation of what you see is still like the king here. It's still the most important one, because instance varies from instance to instance. Some kind of contextual decisions of data collection will be different. So I think we are like betting on the work with the client that he will also verify what this dashboard shows, and maybe he has some kind of better argument that the interpretation of the dashboard may be not the most accurate because he knows some business and data logic and brand knowledge that this is normal. Or on the other hand, the dashboard shows that this is normal, but from this information, he may jump to the conclusion that maybe something is wrong.
I get it. It's just information, right? It's not like 0 and 1, because there are always specific cases in which you can see something in red, but for the whole team, it's obvious why it's the case because of some kind of custom solution in their platform, and they have a different solution for that, and it's not a typical one, and that's why it's in red. But I guess it's a way worse situation when actually the client doesn't know why it's red or green, and that's why this scoreboard and dashboard is very useful, because then you can dig into it and ask question, and then you can have AI or analytics developer provide you an answer to basically know what's going on and that it's fine or not fine, and you have to actually fix it.
Yeah. Like I would say, like, for example, the very typical thing is to here the dashboard is looking for 7 steps of the e-commerce funnel, because the GA4 out of the box offers in their structure 7 steps of the e-commerce. measurement. But of course, many clients may have only 4. For example, they may not like carve out every step of the checkout process because of the privacy reasons, because of some technology limits, etc. So yeah, that would be the example that we would generate this dashboard, prepare it, and then go through it and compare it with the live website and what is happening. And I would like, for example, see that only 4 are measured, and this is the business decision. This is not the lacking of some configuration, and this is understood, and everyone knows that this is the way it should be.
Okay. Is there anything else that we should during this video, or should we wrap it up?
Yeah, like we also have the Google Search Console module. I think it is quite interesting because it enables into some kind of analysis also. For example, one module is measuring the very well-known noun cannibalization. So you just specify your keywords. You can exclude the branded keywords because, of course, they will heavily link to your landing pages. And you can see in your table if some keywords are cannibalizing each other, as to speak. And the other is more generic, but still very useful and probably known from the practice of analytics specialists is comparing the Google Search Console data with GA4 data, particularly the URL clicks from the search engine to the sessions in GA4, because if the difference is significant, this is also some kind of signal for you to dig into any of 2 and see if the measurement is okay. Probably the GA4 is not okay because like if Search Console, it's a very low probability that Search Console is measuring anything wrong.
I agree. That makes sense. Yeah, what about some other tabs? Are there any other interesting tabs?
I would say like the tabs are like some of the checks are very interesting for me as a specialist, but of course some of them might be more interesting for example C-level people that, for example, might just look into the very top 5 known metrics, for example, for users, sessions, event counts, transactions, and revenue. This is like the standard, and you can see some dynamic. Of course, you can change the time period for these dynamics to see the different time window. But for me, for example, I want to make sure that there are no truncated events, for example. So the event names are not truncated because that like heavily destroys reporting. I can also quickly see if the GA4 instance is, let's say, heavily more complex one because, for example, it collects manual events. So it's like more customized for the website or for the app. But of course, also like more marketing oriented ones checks, like if there are any custom audiences used, because I think we all agree it's a great tool in GA4 and in exporting those audiences. And if somebody is not using it, maybe they even not know that this is the great tool for some of the activities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Many of those we would need to have a much longer conversation. But yeah, the scoreboard is a great starting tool for, let's say, more business oriented people, and the specialist might dive deeper into those sections here.
I believe that's always the case that some parts of the dashboard are for the higher perspective or bird's eye view perspective, and the rest is needed to be detailed and quite big because you need also experts and specialists to look at the same dashboard and to control things and to make sure that all the data and the whole checklist is in green and not in red. And yeah, I think that it all makes sense.
Yeah, the green, I need to just reiterate, the green is just for a starting point. We do not aim this dashboard for, you are going into it, seeing green as it's always like heavily made fun of, and you're exiting and all good. Like it's a starting point for your analysis for the deeper work.
And also, it's almost never the case that it's all green, but you just have to know what's going on. It's just information. It's not like black and white.
As you can see, we are on the Google instance and we are having
we should be perfect, right?
Yeah, not everything's in green.
I get it. It's just just for you to see from the high perspective what's going on across the board. And also, yeah. All right, thank you, Piotr. It was very cool to go through this dashboard. I love it, and I think that every e-commerce or every business should have a checklist like that first, and second dashboard as well, and to have it saved, and to have also an analytics developer that takes care of your domain in terms of data collection, and also making sure that data is also saved, right? Not only in GA4, but maybe sometimes in Google BigQuery and data warehouse.
Yeah, we are already rolling this out to our current clients, and the speed of the analysis, for some clients, we always lacked the time to perform such expanded analysis. So having this is a lifesaver in some of our cases.
Yeah, each case is different, but it's a baseline to start with. Thanks a lot for your time. Thank you, and see you in maybe next video. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.